Oh, the Chicago Bears started off 5-1 and have lost 6 in a row now, 5-7, and the ship is sinking quickly. It's time for a little PFTPM, MPM, QB, second guessing some of the decisions made by coaches on the Sunday that was. And the play calling of the Chicago Bears offense, under 2 minutes, up 3, inside their own 10, 3rd and 4. They were actually on their own 17. The fumble happened inside the 10, though. Mitchell Trubisky goes back. He has no awareness, gets hit, ball comes out. Detroit recovers. Detroit scores. Detroit wins. They were down 10. They erased that deficit, just like Chicago erased a double-digit deficit against Detroit earlier this year at Ford Field. Here's Matt Nagy yesterday when he was asked about the decision to throw the ball while trying to get out of there with a victory.
It's 3rd and 4, and we have to, we're backed up, or we don't really have the field position. So we have to get a first down. We have to make them use their timeouts. And, we ran a play that's good versus all coverages. It's if they show man, great. It has answers versus 0. And then if they play zone, we got answers there as well. So we felt good with that. And it's just a play, at least what I saw from the Jumbotron afterwards, is kid made a good play around the edge and was able to swipe his arm out and make a play. I'd have to go back and see, as far as the pushing up in the pocket and other guys within the route and where that was. But we had to stay aggressive there and get first downs to make them use their timeouts and try to end with the football and win the game.
Is there anything you say on the headset before that play goes off?
No. I think the biggest thing is just that play for us is it's day one training camp, and it's something that all those guys know inside out.
Yeah, look, it's just a bad situation in Chicago, regardless of who the quarterback is, Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky. It is crumbling. 2 years ago, Matt Nagy was the coach of the year. A lot of coach of the years in recent years end up not being the coaches for much longer after that. It just shows you how quickly things can fall apart. And they've fallen apart for the Bears. I don't know how they get out of this vortex of suck at this point, but that's where they are. And you just wonder if and when big changes are going to be made there, and if it's going to be the GM, if it's going to be the head coach, if it's going to be the team president, who it's going to be. But, Bears fans have been through a lot over the years. They haven't had a true franchise quarterback since Sid Luckman, and this just isn't sustainable in Chicago, Charean.
Yeah, it's horrible, Mike. I'm curious, who do you blame more for that play? Do you blame the play caller, or do you blame Mitchell Trubisky more? I mean, they're both at fault. We agree on that. But who do you blame more for that play?
Well, I think the play caller, because as the play caller, you have to know the limitations of your players. Number one, you don't have the offensive line to buy the guy the time that he needs. Number two, you don't have the quarterback who has the awareness to get rid of the football quickly before he gets hit and the ball comes out. So you've got to have a different strategy as the play caller. You have to have the awareness of what your team can and can't do, especially since it's been so long since a win. You've got to take the easiest path to killing the clock and getting out of there. And even if it means punting, that's better than getting cute. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. You don't have the Kansas City Chiefs offense where you could maybe drop back and deliver the dagger with a first down throw and then take a knee, and go home. You've got to play within the limitations of what you have. So I put it on the play caller.
Yeah, and he does have 4 fumbles in the last 5 games, and he cringed at when he was asked the question, do you have a fumble problem? And he said he doesn't, but it's obvious he does. It's obvious he holds onto the ball too long sometimes. And that, to me, is a case where you can't trust your quarterback. And even if you run the ball and force Detroit to call its last time out and punt, I think you're better off than doing what they chose to do, obviously. And it's easy to sit here and second guess when it doesn't work. But I don't know, even if that's a day one training camp play and you've run it a million times, I'm still not trusting Mitchell Trubisky to run that play. And you mentioned he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, but we all know they could have had Patrick Mahomes.
Matt Nagy did have Patrick Mahomes for a year. He did in Kansas City before he got the job. You can't blame the Patrick Mahomes failure to be a Bear on Matt Nagy, but you can blame it on Ryan Pace. That's why I hope they don't. And I'm not advocating at this point. I don't know what the hell they're going to do in Chicago. I think if they're going to make big changes at some point, they have to aim up at team president Ted Phillips, who's been there for 21 years, making these hiring and firing decisions. But I think the worst thing they could do is fire Ryan Pace and keep Matt Nagy and then bring in a GM that maybe doesn't want Matt Nagy, and then you've got dysfunction until you fire Matt Nagy. That's not good for anybody. So good luck to the Bears figuring out what's right for them. The Broncos trying to figure out what's right for them on Sunday night. The thing about the Chiefs, because they face the absolute best that every opponent has to offer, for every team that plays them, it's the Super Bowl. It's the moment. It's the opportunity to have a measuring stick type of a game. The Chiefs have to be up every week, and we see it. They're not up every week, so you can catch them napping from time to time. The Broncos had some chances. They made some bad decisions. The first one came late in the first half. 57-yard field goal by Brandon McManus, a reliable kicker in Denver. The altitude, different in Kansas City. And the thing about a 57-yarder, it's one thing to try it with 2 ticks on the clock. It's another thing to try a 57-yarder with 33 seconds left in the half, and you're giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. So McManus misses. The Chiefs get the ball on their 47. And the next thing you know, a 10-3 margin becomes 10-6. No, 10-9. It was 10-6. It becomes 10-9. It's got a different feel going into halftime, all because they got a little greedy, maybe a little stupid in going for the field goal with that much time left on the clock, Charean.
I almost would have preferred that they had gone for it there. I'm not going to lie. I didn't have a huge problem with the field goal just because you trust Brandon McManus so much. But you're right. You don't have the altitude that you have in Denver. I know it was 4th and 8, but if you don't get it, at least you're on the 39. I know it's not that much of a difference, but if you do get it, then it sets you up for a field goal at least and maybe a touchdown, and you're going to run out the clock. And you're not going to give Kansas City the ball back. Hopefully you can run off that last 33 seconds. So I almost would have preferred that they had gone for it there. And Mike, I think there is a difference when you're a non-playoff team and you're not really in the playoff race, even though mathematically maybe you're still in it. But I do think there's a difference when you're that team and trying to build toward 2021 and when you're a team trying to play for the postseason. And this to me was a team that needed to take some chances and go for it, and they didn't do that. They made, to me, 2 really bad coaching decisions.
Yeah, and the decision that ended up being the worst one. And Vic Fangio seemed to acknowledge after the game that maybe he shouldn't have done it. Today, he doubled down on the decision he made. Down by 3 points, 19-16, 6 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the game, facing 4th and 3 on their own 49. They opted not to go for it. They opted to punt. And when you say, look, throw aside analytics. And this isn't meant to disrespect the analytics crowd. For me, there's one factor that rises above all others when it comes to analytics. Are you keeping Patrick Mahomes on the sideline? Yes or no? Okay, if you go for it and you get it, yes, he's on the sidelines. If you punt it, he's on the field. And we've all seen that Patrick Mahomes is a different guy when the game's on the line, when it's time to go do it. You know, we all have that moment. There are different times in our lives, whether it's at work or if there's a personal issue. We accept now's the time to go take care of business. And I think the Chiefs are that team more than any other in the NFL that I can remember in years, where they'll just kind of coast, and it's like, okay, it's time to take care of business. You gotta understand that as a football coach. So we got to make a stop. Well, yeah, you got to make a stop, but it's the Chiefs. It'd be different if it was the Chargers or if it was the Jets or if it was some other team. And I know these analytics formulas, Charean, are getting more complex and they take those things into account, but I have no faith in any analytics formula that dictates that you should give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes in a spot where he's likely to, along with his teammates, know it's time to go to work.
Yeah, Mike, 2 things on this. One, I'm wondering how much Vic Fangio being a defensive-minded coach played into this. I would think that a more offensive-minded coach would have wanted the ball in the hands of his offense rather than putting it on his defense to stop Patrick Mahomes. And so I do wonder if Vic Fangio, being a defensive-minded coach, that played into his thinking. And the second thing is, I think it would have done a lot for Drew Lock. Even if they don't make it, if you go to Drew Lock, whether you call timeout or whatever, but you say, look, we're going to trust you to pick up this first down. We're going to put the ball in your hands. We're putting it on you to win this game. And you know what? If they had made that and gone on to have won this game, that could have really been a turning point for Drew Lock and this team, but they didn't, and they didn't give him that chance. And now you have to wonder, does Drew Lock second guess himself, saying, well, they don't trust me enough in that situation to put the ball in my hands. So you had an opportunity there to do something for Drew Lock, and I think you failed Drew Lock by not giving him a chance. Again, you're a 4-win team. Go for it. Do what you have to do to try to win the game and give your team some momentum going into 2021.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.